the break, we were talking about education of the sexually abused children.
So,
So there are some opt to live, but some would like to pursue, of course, their education, and that's being taught. Are they being given this opportunity in MARILLAC or in the premises?
I would say all of them would like to learn. All of them would like to better their lives. I would like to think that compared to other government institutions, MARILLAC Hills has it quite good because we have, how many teachers do we have right now?
Around 20 or so.
Yeah, we have 20 teachers in the institution, but we have to remember that we have 200 plus girls.
All right.
Okay, and
200 plus 20, so that's about 100 per teacher.
well, suffice it to say that it isn't quite enough to address all the needs of the children. In fact, our classes are multi-level, meaning to say in one classroom you have several levels of learning there. So it's not impossible to have a first year, second year, and third year student all in one class.
Yeah.
Okay? But yes, all of them do want to learn. In fact, it is the hope of the Zonta Club of Makati Environs to further empower these children by eventually giving them livelihood.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
there are a number of girls who do show potential, okay, considering the past that they've been through. But we
Yes.
have to remember that these girls, more often than not, come to the institution undereducated. Okay, they come from most of the time very depressed communities, and so to be able to get them to a point where they're financially independent will be really very challenging for anyone. No? But at this point in time, we are looking towards granting a few of these girls a college education, those who have proven to be capable of pursuing one. And more often than not, we are looking towards livelihood training, skills
Alright.
training, vocational
Okay.
education, so that they will be able to realize immediate income. Yes.
Okay, then be independent, no? Like,
Well, hopefully.
yeah, well, financially independent anyway. Yeah, so when you say education, then that means also they can get their high school diploma?
Oh,
Or-
absolutely,
yeah,
because
alright.
the teachers who do come and work with the children in MARILLAC Hills are from CHED.
Okay,
Okay, so they do get the diploma. The challenge is what to do after that.
right.
And also, one has to realize that even if they're being taught, given the circumstances that they're confronted, there always is a risk that although you can say they did graduate from high school,
Yes.
if push came to shove and you gave them a test next to somebody from maybe another public high school,
Right.
it probably wouldn't be quite the same.
Yeah, so it's very important to have their, to develop their skills.
Right. Plus the fact that we always have to be sensitive to the fact that there is a trauma component
Yes.
to this. I often tell people who visit, imagine what it's like to be, let's say, a 7 or 8-year-old child, okay, to be under or uneducated, okay, to be very, very poor, to have been traumatized, raped, sold, mutilated, molested, okay, at a very young age, and then have your family abandon you, instead of helping you, abandon you because they're afraid that their source of livelihood or source of sustenance will be gone. And then they're against you, and you're all alone in this place. It's a terrible, terrible situation to be in, and that's why with us in the Psychological Center, we try to impress on the girls that they are not alone. And we really try to embolden them because as adults, as empowered adults, to go through a criminal case and actually testify
That's
in
already
court is already
traumatizing,
traumatizing.
right.
What more for a child who is totally, totally lost and out of her depth and going against the very people she is supposed to love and care for? It is devastating. And that's why it's part of the job of our psychological team to help condition the child and to give her the support that is needed so that she'll be strong enough
And
to go
be able
through
to move
this
on also.
and eventually move on. Yes, because one should not, ideally, should not be carrying that and identify with that abuse for the rest of one's life.
But I think, with your support, with the psychological support that you're providing, I think once they get over that, these survivors are tough cookies, become tough cookies. And, then, whatever you throw to them, whatever life throws to them, then they're stronger, and they could really, survive or fight back in a positive sense.
That's right. We have we have quite a few success stories of girls who've actually realized gainful employment and who actually have given back.
All right.
In such a way that they really mentor other girls who have gone through
They
similar
also
situations.
volunteer once they're.
They have not forgotten,
So they pay forward.
and that's wonderful. Yes.
Well, I think that, it's them more than anybody else who could relate, who could really relate, because they were there, I mean, to the sexually abused children, because they've been there, they were able to overcome, and so they would like to, help those that.
Yes, but I think the psychological center is actually invaluable. But in order to stop the abuse, one has to get to the root of the problem, so that we don't always have to realize the situations.
It's always treating.
Exactly,
well,
we're treating
So
the
prevention.
symptoms, but
Yeah.
we're not nipping the main
The
problem
root,
in
right.
the bud.
Right.
No, and really it is through education. The Philippines is this situation is an international situation.
Yes, it
okay?
is.
It does not have any preference in terms of country,
Of race, of religion. Right.
etc.,
Yeah.
etc. It's true. But you see, the fact that the Philippines is a developing country, okay, a country that realizes a lot of poverty does play a role. It certainly does. To begin with, many times a family of 6 or 7 live in a single room.
Exactly.
They are constantly together in a single room.
Yes.
Secondly is the machismo mentality that is still prevalent in our country today. Filipinos still believe that they are entitled to be the lords of everyone. And women are still in that evolutionary stage wherein we have yet to realize that this is
Yes.
not necessarily the
For lack
case.
of better things,
True. I mean,
better knowledge, better education.
we even
that's
have
right.
circumstance. We had a few wherein the perpetrator would actually quote biblical scripture, Old Testament, stating because Solomon had so many wives and whatever, that he's entitled to the same thing, and foolish enough, the women actually believe it. See, but hopefully through education, through informing people that this should not be the case, by giving women options, okay, to complain, or empowering them through education and livelihood opportunities, that they will not have to feel trapped in this cycle of abuse.
Yeah.
So that is another component that has to be addressed. But for
Alright.
now, we're pretty much focused on the psychological center and dealing with the trauma that has already occurred, dealing with the abuse that has happened.
All right. So eventually, you will also have programs to deal with educating,
Yes,
with regards to.
Zonta Club right now is working hand in hand with a group of pediatricians who are focused on adolescent care. And this is quite interesting because we're coming up with modules, okay? Modules that would educate the youth, both boys and girls. And the purpose of the modules is to address 2 issues. One is the issue of early pregnancy.
All right.
Okay, the whole concept is to give them an idea of what they're really dealing with each time they decide to get into this particular activity. Okay. The second one, which is related to the first, is really to try to curb the incidences of early pregnancy, of early marriage.
All right.
Of early marriage, because it is not unusual in the Philippines to have girls who are 14, 15, and 16 years old, and they get married. I mean, just a couple of years ago, one of the more famous musicians became infamous because he he married a 16-year-old child.
Or even younger, yeah.
Yes, and to make matters even worse, the parents were all for it.
Mm-hmm.
See, so it is educating the child. It is also educating the parents.
But also because, you know, it becomes like a necessity to get out of the rut. Or,
Yes,
yeah.
it is an escape.
Yes, an escape.
It is an escape. And this idealization of marriage as that we read in the romance novels or watch in movies. But more often than not, I think a lot of the girls get married because their parents force them to because they get pregnant. Okay, and it is this concept that getting married will stop the shame. See, so we're still in this very, very puritanical mindset, that actually compounds the problem. And it is again through education that we have to enlighten these people, both the parents and the children, to realize that there are options. But of course, ideally, the best way really would be to prevent these pregnancies from happening by making these children understand the responsibilities that come with what they're doing.
All right. Well, that's actually a tremendous job, I mean, task, you know. Like what they say, really, education is the key,
Education
you
is
know,
key.
to get out of poverty, to get out of all these challenges that one faces in life. But again, like you said, you have to go to the root of the problem. But
It would also be very helpful if more people, especially those who have had much more in life, if they would actually get involved. A lot of people do want to get involved in trying to, you know, the so-called do-gooders. We do all want to live in a better environment, to see better off lives for those who are less fortunate, but they don't know how to go about it.
Yes, exactly. That's why, for me, it's really a great opportunity. I'm able to share, you know, advocacies such as yours, you know, such as the Zonta Club and other NGOs, because then there are viewers out there, like I always say, who would happen to, you know, to find out that there's such and such a program, there's such and such, you know, some projects wherein they can help not just financially, but with their talents and whatever.
And their time.
Yeah.
Yes,
with their time,
more often than not, I often tell people, you know, it's not enough to just press the like button in Facebook. You know, we have to make the extra, to realize meaningful, truthful change. One has to get out of one's comfort zone.
Yes.
Okay, so pressing like is half a second to do, right? But really making that call, finding out how to help, carving out time in your schedule to
The
do
commitment.
something. The commitment to do
commitment.
it. And also the willingness to go through some discomfort in order to make things better for someone else. That's the decision people have to make. Good intentions are wonderful, but they don't do anything for anybody. They do not do anything for anybody. The simplest gesture that was actually consummated would even be better. See? So yes, I do encourage a lot of people to practice volunteerism, and it doesn't matter whether it is going full time or doing something on a one-shot deal basis. And it doesn't even matter if you are financially blessed or not. I know some people who are going through difficult times of their own financially. Some barbers, I know some hairstylists who actually donate their time once a week. They go to an impoverished place and they cut hair for free.
Or they teach
or they tutor children, or they read to children.
Teach them the skills.
Exactly. It does not cost you much, but it does make a difference, and people do remember what you've done for them. See?
Well, with that, we'll take a short break.